Quit begging your friends to work out with you, bro. Let them stay fat. They ain't showing up. They ain't coming, bro. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I have this rule in my life where I will never go out of my way to try to get someone to eat healthier, to work out, to exercise, to weight lift, to do cardio, because they won't listen. If they wanted to do it that bad, they would have started already.
Giving fitness advice. Issues that I see when people giving other people fitness advice is usually they're just giving them what they think they should do, or the hardest version of fitness, instead of trying to ease them in with something light. So they'll immediately start them off with like something advanced, like a bro split, or a push pull leg type split or some shit. They always want to give them, the quote unquote most optimal plans. Like, you gotta eat this much protein, you gotta do this after, you gotta start eating yogurt and rice and beans and chicken. It has to be lean cut and this and that. Like, no. And that's the problem, is that a lot of y'all give the worst advice when it comes to fitness to somebody who's new. Somebody who's new doesn't want to start doing drop sets, don't want to start doing, they barely want to even lift weights. And you're already trying to get them to do 3 sets per body part per week. Like, you gotta start them light, you gotta start them slow. Most people want to lose weight more so than put on muscle. When it comes to muscle, yeah, you can start them off with a simple 2-day split, just to get them into the idea of doing upper body one day and lower body the other day, but then eventually they can come up with their own routine of what best works for them eventually, per schedule, right, per their liking. But when it comes to just like eating healthier and losing weight, and for example, which is the most common fitness thing that most people want, the reason they even want to get in shape, right, is because they're fat. They want to get rid of it. So getting them started with walking, drinking more water, let them know that it's important to sweat when they do physical activity, because that will further help them lose water weight, as well as to help them just get rid of some excess fat, because sweat does have fat in it. It's a small percentage, but it still counts. Telling them to eat under 2,000 calories, tell them to do 10,000 steps, things like that. Like the most basic stuff. And the problem I always see is that people give terrible advice and they think they're giving great, amazing advice, and they're surprised that no one wants to take that so-called great, amazing advice. And it's like, no, it's because you're not giving them amazing advice. You're giving them information that's useful, yes, but it's not amazing for them. It's not something that was like they hear and they're like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to do multiple sets, 5 rep range. I want to blast gear. I want to do, like, no. There's a lot of y'all give terrible advice to the point where, like, you gotta start taking creatine, you just gotta start doing this and that, you gotta start taking protein shake, you gotta start macro track your calories and track your foods and this and that, and like you gotta get a gym membership. Like, y'all go way too far. Like, y'all just trying to create another gym bro or gym girl, basically, not realizing, like, no, they need to start at the basics. They need to start at the lowest level, and the lowest level is walking, drinking more water, eating less junk food. Try to switch from regular soda to diet soda. Small little changes have a big effect, and that's literally what the whole lazy exercise thing. So I'm basically just explaining my process, because people don't quit my advice. It's like when I give advice on fitness, no one quits. When I give them diet advice, they don't quit, because there's no quitting. I'm giving them basic stuff that they're already doing. I'm just telling them to do a little bit more. Like, oh, you like diet soda? Drink more of that and less alcohol, right? Or less regular soda, right? If they do like eating, like, let's say, carrots, I'll tell them to eat some more. You know what I mean? Like, I will encourage them to do more of what they're probably already doing that's already beneficial. Some people don't even think that riding bike is exercise. There's some people who don't even think of walking as exercise. So when you let them know, hey, if you do 10,000 steps, you're gonna burn a lot of calories. You're gonna lose weight doing that. 10,000 steps a day, eat under 2,000 calories a day, you're going to lose weight. You know what I mean? Even climbing upstairs. Like, hey, instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs instead. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's gonna be worth it, because you're gonna burn more calories than if you took an elevator, right? Little things like that makes a difference. Even telling people to, like, walk around more, like, instead of sitting, it's like, get something as simple as a step counter. Your little fitness tracker that can track your steps. Step counter. That's all you really need. That's the most basic equipment you would need for weight loss. Now, when it comes to muscle gain, obviously you're gonna need weights and stuff like that. So yes, buy your own weights or gym membership. But mostly, what you're going to really need, specifically for weight loss, is that you're going to need a way to count steps, right? And you're going to need some way to keep track of the calories you're eating, because the idea is to try to eat under 2,000 calories. Notice I didn't say not about eating. You gotta take protein and this, that, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all extra stuff. That's not the basic stuff. The most basic stuff is, like, you need to eat less than 2,000 calories, and then you need to try to burn more than 2,000 calories, because we're trying to teach people about calorie deficit. And that's the first thing you're supposed to teach people, is how to burn more calories than you consume. Because the problem is right now, people don't know that. What they know is the opposite, which is they know to eat more calories than they burn. So they'll sit on their ass and eat a whole bunch of calories. We need to tell them, no, you can eat those calories, but you better be walking. Get up and walk. That's the difference. But y'all give them the worst advice, like, oh, you gotta do 30 minutes of cardio and this, that, and you gotta do Pilates and all this extra shit. Like, y'all just, what I always see is people tend to give the worst advice because they think they're giving the best advice possible, but don't realize it's like, no, you're giving the best advice possible for somebody who already in a fitness journey, who already knows the basics, already knows about, calorie deficit, already knows how to do, 10,000 steps and so forth and so forth, who knows how to, how to do a 2-day split and all that stuff. Like, they already know enough about working out that yes, you can give them, advice on how to, do a cut or a bulk, or how to, do a drop set. Like, you can give them the more advanced stuff. The problem is a lot of y'all immediately, when somebody new wants to get into fitness, y'all try to give them the advanced information instead of giving them the simple, basic level information. You're not, just think of it, when you give somebody advice who's new to fitness, think of them as a 5-year-old child. You're not going to advise a 5-year-old child to just start downing a whole bunch of protein shakes, creatine, and this and that. You're definitely not going to tell them to take, gear, obviously. You're definitely not going to tell them to do like a massive bro split or some other type of, split, push-pull legs. You're going to start them off simple. You're going to give them some weights that they can easily handle, have them do at least one set, multiple reps so they can get used to the motion, because you want to teach them the form, because we all know how important form is. So you want to teach them the form and teach them how to properly lift weights before we even work on progressive overload and stuff. Because a lot of y'all be quick to be like, oh, you gotta start lifting heavy and progressive overload. And it's like, and this is how a lot of new people get injured, or the first workouts, it's so painful because it's like, it's not something they're used to, because they're going hard because of intensity. They're like, yeah, this is too intense. I don't like this. This is very uncomfortable. So of course they're gonna quit. Of course they're gonna hate your advice, because your advice is the worst for a new person. Your advice that y'all people on the internet give when it comes to fitness is always the advanced advice. The advice for somebody who has weightlifting experience, who has gym experience, not for a new person. So just understand, I've talked to some people who are like, oh yeah, I give advice, but never works, blah, blah, blah. And then I asked them like, well, what's the advice? And I was like, see, that's the thing. You don't give that type of advice. You don't give that extreme level of advice to people who are starting out. You give them simple, basic stuff that they can do. They can easily drink more water. They can easily walk more. They can easily sleep more. Because even sleeping more, like an extra hour or two, will cause them to lose weight because of fasting and other, proper aspects of sleeping. Because that's one of the advices I give to most people. I let them know that, like, hey, as soon as you wake up, don't immediately eat. Wait a couple hours, at least 4 hours after you wake up to eat. Because if you slept for 8 hours, right, you wait 4 hours after you wake up, you sleep to eat. That's 12 hours. That's 12 hours fasting, right? You're going to burn more calories at that time. You're gonna, a lot of other biological functions are going to happen within that time frame that's going to help you with weight loss. Especially stuff like water weight, for example, will be a factor. You'll sometimes experience the whoosh effect, where suddenly you start feeling skinny all of a sudden, and you notice like, damn, I'm a pound lighter on the scale since a couple hours ago. Like, yeah, because you had the whoosh effect. Your body is letting out water, so you're sweating. But anyway, main point is that, and then of course you probably use the bathroom as you should to relieve some of that food weight that you ate from yesterday, right? And then boom, now you should be a lot lighter, and that makes a difference. And then eat, right? Eat protein mostly. Eat a large majority of your protein from food, and then worry about protein shakes and protein bars and all that other stuff later on. But get your main source of protein from, whole foods like eggs and stuff like that, chicken, turkey, lean meats, and then make sure you at least do 5,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps is way better, but at least 5,000 if you're lazy, like most of us are, right? But that's the kind of advice you should be giving people. That's what I do. I haven't had anybody tell me that after I give them advice they stop. No, if anything, they don't even tell me that that they have progress or anything like that. I could just see it. Like, they don't tell me that they stop working out or they're still working out or they're still dieting. No, I could just see it. It's like, oh, damn. No, I lost a lot of weight since the last time I seen you and talked to you, and you haven't told me anything. I had people hit me up on my account, Lazy Exercise account, asking me for fitness advice and workout routines and stuff. I gave it to them. I never got back where it's like, oh, it wasn't working or anything like that. I never got any, response back that it didn't work. If anything, I see them still on their fitness journey, still eating, dieting, still doing stuff. So it's like, okay, that means the advice I gave them worked. It gave them something to work from. I know some of my clients that I give them simple things to do. Start walking, 10,000 steps, and then I hear that they did like 20,000 steps. Like, okay, that's more than I said, but okay, good for you. I tell them to use light weights, 20 rep range, so that we can burn more calories. and then they'll start, doing, 10 rep range, heavy weights, start going to the gym. It's like, okay, I just wanted to just use some light dumbbells at home, but you ain't got a gym membership. Great. I'm not against it. I'm not against people doing more than what I tell them to do it. But that just proves the point that I give them the least they can do to get in shape, and then they do the most. But y'all, when y'all give advice, y'all always give them the most and be surprised that they want to do the least. Or did they end up doing the least? It's because it's not up to you if they should do, a lot in the gym or a lot when it comes to the fitness journey. It's up to them. If they want to do more, let them do more on their own. Let the do more be their decision. Don't let it be your decision. The problem is that y'all make it a you thing. Y'all make it about y'all. They're like, oh, this is what I did to lose weight, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, good. That's what you did when you finally felt like doing it and you did it. So, of course, that's the results you got because you felt like doing it eventually. But that doesn't apply for everybody. So what you do first is tell people the bare minimum, the smallest amount of effort that they can pull and do in order to get the results. And then go from there. What you don't do is tell them to do exactly what you're doing now, which took you like maybe a year or two to get to the point you're at now, and tell them like, you gotta do what I'm doing right now. Like, no, it took you 2 years to get to where you're at right now. You ain't started your fitness journey doing all of this shit you're doing now. You started off with less weight, less knowledge, less protein, less everything, less money, and the list goes on. And that's another thing. It's like a lot of y'all, when y'all give advice, it has to do with a lot of money. It's like yeah, you're gonna have to spend like $500 a month to get in shape, when it shouldn't cost that much.